This week, we take a special look through the eyes of an evildoer in Brightburn. And along the way, we ask, when do we call Elizabeth Banks plain crazy? When exactly was Brandon's turning point? And could a Martha save humanity? Probably not, but this is Force Fed Sci-Fi. Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special bonus review episode of the brand new superhero horror film, Brightburn. I am one of your hosts, Chris Rupp, and I am joined with my other half,
the other co-host, Sean Michael Culp.
Woohoo! Throwing a middle name in this time.
Oh, yeah.
At least it's not a self-given nickname, am I right, folks?
No, not yet. I don't think so.
So we made the decision to go see Brightburn over the weekend. What do we want to call this? Bite-sized review of the Force Fed Sci-Fi podcast?
Yeah, special edition.
Yeah. Now, if you're unfamiliar with what this movie is about, please keep in mind we are going to discuss the movie in length, so there will be some spoilers in this episode. If you are interested in seeing the movie, spoiler-free, maybe this isn't the best episode to start with.
But if you don't care, well, c'est la vie, man.
Yeah. Then
kudos to you for going against the tide.
Then this is for your listening pleasure.
Yeah. They like hearing your voice, Chris. It's chocolate to their airwaves.
Oh, boy. So, Brightburn, in a twist on the superhero origin story, an alien ship crash lands near a Kansas farm. So, Does this sound familiar?
Oh, man. Superman much? No, I've never heard of this.
And instead of doing good with his newfound abilities, this child named Brandon Breyer proceeds to become a terror and murders innocent people with his godlike powers.
And with his Logan, BB.
Well, I think that was the symbol that was on the in the barn, on the trap door where his pod was being held.
So BB, man.
So before we get into the meat and potatoes of the movie, let's discuss who made this movie a little bit. So it's James Gunn is one of the producers of the movie. And he is no stranger to horror films because he wrote the Dawn of the Dead remake, which, if you haven't seen that actually is a really good movie. Definitely a solid remake. And he also wrote and directed Slither, which is like an alien horror film.
I have not seen that.
Yeah, it's a bit on the weird side. It's got Nathan Fillion in it, and Elizabeth Banks is in it. Michael Rooker's in it too. So
sweet.
A lot of familiars from James Gunn's world. It's directed by David Yarovesky, who hasn't done much in the directing world prior to this movie.
Yeah, this is his second go at it.
He directed a movie called The Hive,
yes,
which is another science fiction horror film. So it looks like it's about viruses, and maybe we'll have to add that to our main list. We'll see. And then the movie Brightburn is starring Elizabeth Banks, who is an established Hollywood star. She's done films like The 40-Year-Old Virgin. So she's kind of done films all over the spectrum, I think.
Yeah, she's pretty multifaceted.
But I did like her in this movie, too, although she did turn out to be a little crazy pants in it.
Yeah, she was great. She embraced the role of like a delusional mom.
Yeah.
That like just won't admit their child's a serial killer. It's like, how much freaking evidence do you need?
My baby can do no wrong.
Except on film, I guess. When he brutally murders people.
And then the character of Brandon Breyer is played by Jackson Dunn.
Who was in Endgame, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought he looked familiar seeing that. Turns out he was 12-year-old Scott Lang when they were messing around with time travel. It's like, I'm not sure what's going on. So heading into this movie, I was pretty excited.
Yeah, you were yoked about this. I think you told us about the trailer.
Yeah,
this is awesome.
Because it looked like an anti-Superman is what it was. Even the typeface for the trailers looked very similar to the typeface that was used in the Man of Steel trailers.
Yeah.
And
just not as dramatic.
No, not as dramatic at all. But I was so excited to see this. It was like, yes, because I like horror films.
You do like horror.
And I love superhero films. And I thought this is some of my favorite things coming together. And I wasn't totally disappointed.
Okay. Yeah, you didn't sound disappointed when we were talking about it.
There were parts that I enjoyed and then parts that were a bit so-so.
I do not like horror films at all. Because I don't like to be scared for fun. That's kind of, I don't know, that behavior to me is just like, why? Why would you enjoy being scared?
I think what disappointed me the most was the fact that this movie became more of a trope fest.
That's literally all this film is. They're like, let's shoe in as many tropes as we can Maybe like it's a nod. Maybe he's just giving nods to all like the famous scenes from like other horror films, like the director. He's like, hey, I'm just going to throw in as much horror crap to like show, hey, this is my second film. Ooh. You know, like some directors do that. They do like homages.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
There's a way to do it that's not being overdone.
Yeah.
Like what were
every
some of the tropes?
5 minutes.
What were some of the tropes in this movie that you pointed out?
Let's see. Where to begin? We can begin with my favorite, when radio silence, you know, when they're the police are like storming the house and conveniently the phones don't work and the radio doesn't work because of his superpower.
You know what? Yeah, that really reminded me of the Phantom Menace when George Lucas would write himself into an impossible scenario.
Right.
And then just write himself out of it by calling it Jedi powers.
That just makes me angry as a viewer. Sean gets angry when he watches films. What else?
The jump scares.
The endless jump scares. From the beginning of the film, it was a jump scare when he's hiding and they're doing the whistle in the barn. I'm like, come on, man. Really? This is what the film's going to be? How am I going to be able to focus? Because I'm going to be terrified the whole time.
I thought what could have been the best jump scare in the movie was when the waitress hit herself in the walk-in.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, walk-ins don't lock from the inside.
They
you have
do
to be able to
not.
get out of those things.
Yeah. That's a legal thing. They changed that in restaurants, by the way. So, no.
But that scene was spoiled by including it in trailers and online clips.
I didn't even like the CGI used for it because it's like, I don't know. Like, he's just far away and then he just rushes her. And it's like, come on, man. I would have enjoyed something like him biting into her, like her organs. Or if you're going to go all out, man, go all out.
Well, and also you wrote down to demon possession.
Yes, demon possession, because they had to throw that in, because when like the spaceship's lighting up in the barn and it's all red, then like the kid's like floating, levitating on his bed, and he's like saying like a mantra to himself, which ends up being what? Take the world?
Yeah.
Take the world. So I'm like, oh, they got to throw this crap in.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if that was demons or the alien homeworld like programming him.
Yeah, I used it as an homage to like demon possession. We got to throw that trope in for our horror fans. What else?
The gore I felt was maybe a tad overdone.
Well, because it's a horror film, so they have to have like the jaw coming unhinged. Or me and my cousin are producers, so he's in the nursing world. And then I'm like a medic in the military. So the chick, like a light explodes and then she has a piece of glass in her eye. And so she immediately tries to pull it out, and she does, and then blood just starts squirting everywhere. And I laughed because, number one, that's not what happens. And number two, folks who are listening, if you have something in your eye, don't pull it out.
Yes.
Like, don't remove it. That's bad. That is a no-go. Put like a cup over your eye. Don't, like, keep your eyes straight.
Yeah, I thought that was the most, like, cringeworthy scene.
Oh, yeah. No, don't do it. Ah! And then blood just squirts.
There's this growing trend in Hollywood where we now have to see sharp objects go into people's eyes.
I know. I hate that.
Because there is a scene in John Wick 3 where he stabs somebody through the eye, and they show it, and it's almost like in slow motion. And I saw this, and people in the theater are literally groaning with disgust.
I hate
because you're seeing this 8-inch long knife going through somebody's eye and into their brain. It's gross.
Dude, that's one way to like ruin my day. Actually, I was so scarred from Twister. You remember that film?
Yeah.
Like where they're driving in the car and the tornado's next to them, and then like that, what is that? Like a barn fence like just comes shooting through the window and like knocks the guy's head off, decapitation.
Oh yeah.
So to this day, I won't drive behind like a truck with like ladders. I like get out of the way because
you're just paranoid, like Final Destination, things are gonna fly off at you.
It bothers me, man. Or like 3D films where they point the sword and it comes at you. I'm like, no, not in my eyes. Get away. I hate that crap. Don't mess with my eyes, man.
How about the fact that in halfway through the movie, when Brandon goes to confront his aunt and uncle, and his uncle catches him at the house and is going to take him back home.
Oh, yeah.
And then the kid disappears. And then Noah gets in his truck and drives away. Dude, you
why?
are home already. Where are you going?
I didn't understand. I think because they wanted to have like that scene where they smash the car. Because they had to have his jaw become unhinged.
I was convinced throughout that whole scene that Brandon was going to go kill his aunt and like snap her in half while he's in the house skulking around.
Why are you killing the uncle, man? Because he called you weird? Because of your weird costume? That is weird.
You know, I liked Uncle Noah. He gave him a BB gun or like an actual
gun rifle. Yeah, which his dad snatched away. I actually thought the kid was going to kill his dad with the rifle because I thought that would be like a nice reverse. But then once he had the powers, I'm like, oh, that would be
Once he had the powers, he didn't need the gun.
Yeah. But the uncle, his death scene was, I think, the only funny, like pretty much the comedic-esque part in the film. Because like the whole time he's talking to himself, oh, that's not good. It's really not good.
Yeah. He was that's another trope in and of itself where the guy... almost a self-aware individual who knows he's going to be killed. Like Jamie Kennedy's character in Scream.
Yeah! Oh, God. I love Scream. That's such a silly film.
Yeah.
But what else? How did you like the mother's death scene?
Oh, that was so overdone. That is such the lens flare of this movie.
The falling from the sky.
Yeah, he takes her up to cruising altitude and then just drops her.
Yeah, and then seriously. So like, yeah, I laughed my butt off because they do like the camera panning to her face and she like dramatically looks at him. Like this isn't going to happen. Then they show his face, the stone cold sociopath, and they just lets her go.
Like, bye, Mom.
She falls like Indiana Jones, like the Russian chick falling into the plume of smoke. Like, no! Oh, that was so... And the dad.
Okay, let's talk about the parents real quick.
Yeah.
So Elizabeth Banks...
These are our... they're who's bad at their job.
Yeah, both of them. They both get dual credit this week because she is so in for the win. My son can do no wrong. My baby boy... She is just refusing to accept realities that her son is causing harm to people.
Yeah.
And like, no, it's my baby boy.
She is not in reality at all. Like, she is not grounded. She's not clairvoyant. She has nothing going on for her except like denial.
Yeah.
This entire film.
And then Dad is so far the opposite way where he knows Brandon's doing wrong and yet he's going to take him out on one final hunting/camping trip. Not 10 minutes before this scene, dear old Dad said he's never bled, he's never broken a bone, he's never had a bruise. And his plan is to take him out in the woods and shoot him in the head. You just said that he's never been hurt. What do you think a bullet is going to do to this kid?
Nothing. Like it did.
And it doesn't do anything because Brandon turns around and lasers his dad's brain out.
Right in the face, man.
Gives him a laser hole.
I hated, though, the only thing that sucked was him begging, like, for forgiveness. Please, don't kill me. I'm like, dude, you shot him in the face. What do you think he's going to do to you, man?
Yeah.
Just own it. Like, how dramatic, how cool would that scene be? Like, do it. I dare you. You don't have the balls. And then the kid actually does. I can do it. Do like a Star Wars Force Awakens. Yeah, right. You're right, Dad. I can't. I don't know how. I still have to talk to you more about the birds and the bees.
That was, his dad gave him such a terrible talk about becoming a man.
That was so bad.
That was the movie equivalent of a real life dad locking his kid in the bathroom with a few Playboys or penthouses and saying, go nuts, kid.
Because they thought his material that he enjoys himself to was like organs, because they like find a bunch of like Playboy mags and then it slowly gets
and it's like animal organs and stuff.
Yeah. Which is so weird.
I think until they realized that he had superpowers, they thought he was going to be like a Ted Bundy or something.
Totally, man.
Because his dad catches him one night in front of the chicken coop, and then the next morning, all the chickens are dead.
Gosh, it's just gross.
Those are the red shirts. Those poor chickens that are slaughtered in the middle of the night.
They didn't even have a chance. I wish they would have shown him gnawing on the chickens. That would have been...
That would have been a bit much.
But if you're going to dive in, we can talk about this, how the film never like figures out what genre it wants to fully embrace, because it like dips its toe into every single one, but it doesn't embrace every.
It's like a third suspense, a third horror, and like a third superhero sci-fi.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't lean one direction or the other.
No.
And I felt that if this movie leaned hard into the horror elements with a tiny bit of superhero sprinkled on top, would have been a much better movie.
Totally. Because like I was saying, like if they calculated all the minutes spent on the build-up for the jump scares and actually put that into like dialogue and like progression of a story, fleshing out characters, I mean, it would have been 10 times the better film.
Well, the premise itself is not bad.
Yeah, basically like Superman origin story.
Yeah.
Evil Superman.
Well, let's talk about that too. I mean, they definitely were going for like an anti-Superman
Yeah.
I mean, the parents are different than Jonathan and Martha Kent,
It was like total contrast.
who rank easily in the top 5 of superhero parents.
Yeah. Martha.
Jonathan is all like every kid reading a Superman comic with Jonathan Kent wishes Jonathan could have been their dad.
Yeah.
Even the movie versions.
They're great.
Yeah.
I love
Kevin Costner was a great Jonathan Kent. Diane Lane plays a great Martha Kent.
Yeah.
They're two great parents. And then we get the opposite of them with these uninvolved, non-trusting people who do nothing to foster their son's good intentions.
It almost felt like this film was like The Last Jedi in a sense. Like where they're like, we're just going to take everything you love and like flip it, give the complete contrast.
Mhm.
And it's just like, I get that. I get why they did that because they wanted to show the inverse. But I mean, making a film with just complete opposite is still a crappy film. Like
Yeah.
you could, it would have been more interesting to see like him struggling with the morals and ethics and like with actual nurturing parents. Like that would have had so much more weight to like their death and what he was doing, as opposed to like just disenfranchised people that don't know what the hell their son's up to.
Yeah, because by the
It's
time
boring. Like
by the time he drops his mom, you're almost rooting for her to die.
you are. I was rooting for her to die. I'm like, please, God, end this
And then
suffering. I want to see him tear up the town.
And then once Roy from The Office pulls a trigger on his son's head, you lose all sympathy for him.
No, yeah, none at all. I'm like, because I knew he was going to shoot him in the woods, and it's not going to work. Like, it's not. He's not Wolverine. There is no silver bullet that's going to just kill him, all right?
The arrival of baby Brandon is very similar to the arrival of Superman.
Yeah. Super, like
But
spaceship
in this
crashing.
day and age, how does a government agency not immediately show up and say, yeah, you can't go near that pod. Like, don't touch it.
It's because they're in Kansas, man.
Mm-hmm. Well, he discovers his powers in a similar way, but at different ages.
Yeah, like 12.
Like Superman discovers his powers when he's maybe like 5 or 6.
Mm-hmm.
And this kid, Brandon, discovers his powers by chucking a lawnmower 300 yards and then sticking his hand in the blade.
It's like his powers were fueled by like his anger.
Yeah.
Almost. Because it's like they showed like video footage and like up to that moment where he chucks the lawnmower, he doesn't really show anything aside from the not bleeding or getting sick.
Mm-hmm.
So I took it as like he has to get angry, or it was like a puberty thing. Like he had to buy into the possession or whatnot.
Like once puberty hits, then the powers kick in and like, I'm going to destroy everything.
Yeah, but there was like no internal struggle. It was almost like he blacked out when the possession, the anger would take over. He'd like literally see red as his character would become more red throughout the film.
And I felt there was no build up to the turning point where Brandon turned evil.
Yeah, it was like a switch.
It didn't seem like he was teased at all or didn't seem like anybody was abusing him. It was just, I'm in puberty, my body's changing, I have these powers, and now the world's going to pay for it.
I'm angry. Curse you!
I want to be
for making me have hair under my armpits.
I want to be prepubescent forever. No, you got to grow up, kid.
You don't want an awesome beard?
He's anti-beard. Well, he sees Roy from The Office having a beard. And he's like, I don't want Dad's beard.
No, get that mustache away from me.
And then I think this movie, do you think this sets up for like an evil Justice League?
Totally. Especially at the end. Because they had that one actor, the guy from The Walking Dead.
Michael Rooker.
Yeah, and Guardians.
Yes, he's Yondu in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Like, and he's usually like a bit player for like an evil guy. But he's like playing this weird, what's that guy's name?
Alex Jones.
Yes, he's like a weird Alex Jones YouTuber that's like freaking out. He was so great. And it like showed a bunch of pictures for like these other evil villains. Because I think there was 5 comets or 6 comets that like crash landed in like 06.
There was a scene earlier in the movie where Elizabeth Banks is searching up the meteor shower that crashed her son into Earth. And there were, I think, 5 other pods that came down with it. One of them was that sea creature that's terrorizing ships in the South China Sea. There's the witch, quote unquote, who's strangling people with a rope. And then there's the Flash Lightning character who's, I don't know, obliterating people. I never understood what that guy was doing.
And now Superman.
Yeah.
So we're just waiting for Batman.
Batman or the Green Lantern to show up.
Oh, God. The Green Lantern. I would love to see that.
What would you call this one? Like the Red Lantern?
The Red Lantern. The Black Lantern.
Well, we already have Yellow Lanterns and Green Lanterns, and the idea is flipping that idea on its head, right?
Yeah.
So what if Batman is like an actual like villain?
It would have to be. That would be fascinating.
Well, if there's also all of these evildoers that came to Earth, wouldn't it stand to reason that maybe one of those pods is actually like a do-gooder?
That would be fascinating. Yeah, we don't know. They didn't really divulge too much on it. I think that was like the problem with this film is they didn't really give you a lot of backstory for things. They like teased, and I took it as they weren't sure whether or not it was going to take off. So they added like some areas to grow, but it was all, well, we don't know how this is going to go.
Do you think we're going to get a universe like what we're getting with Cloverfield and the Godzilla King Kong universe?
If it takes off, absolutely. I could see them fleshing it out. Because why not? Like evil superheroes.
Well, this movie was made on a pretty small budget.
$6 million, dude.
I actually saw like between 6 and 12 million.
6 and 12? Okay.
Yeah, like either way, I think it does have a good chance of making up its budget.
Oh, yeah.
Because it is an interesting premise.
Yeah.
And in this day and age of people, like a superhero movie coming out every other week, I think people are going to go see this because this is almost an anti-superhero movie.
I don't know. It's like a horror-esque. If it could have like figured out which one it wanted to go for, it would have been more interesting. I'm stoked to see like the Joker with Joaquin Phoenix in November because I feel like that would be a great depiction of like what a villain film. But who knows? It might suck.
There's a great meme out there right now. It's 2 frames of Jack Nicholson's Joker and Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. Jack Nicholson's Joker is a 1989 Joker. Drop him in a vat of chemicals, goes crazy. 2019 Joker, drop him in society, watch him go crazy.
Yeah, that's exactly it though. So I'm more yoked to see that because I think that's going to be more grounded in like its genre. But who knows? This may take off.
I would like to see it take off because I do want to see this universe expand a little bit. I want more answers as to where these kids came from in terms of alien homeworld. See these other kids that are
so hard,
wreaking havoc
with like horror film though, because it's like tough to like describe all that with like horror-esque.
It's
at
hard.
least for me, because I hate jump scares. That's like I equate jump scares to like a cheap trick.
Yeah,
it's a one-trick pony. You
and
get it
are.
once. It's not fun for me. Like it's coming and it doesn't add anything to the story. So
it doesn't help that this movie gave away its best jump scares in the trailers.
Yeah,
it's like with It a couple of years ago. It released the scene when Georgie gets eaten by It as a trailer. That ruins the best scene in the movie. So by the time people go in and see the movie, they already know what's coming and it's not scary.
At least with Georgie, that was at the beginning.
Hiya, Georgie.
Whereas this was like the middle and you like knew it was coming.
I shouldn't do that voice because my girlfriend has told me that it freaks her out. So I apologize if people got like an image of that in their heads. I'm so sorry.
I actually did. Kudos though. I do have to say the cinematography in this film was great for the low budget. It was super clear, and that waitress scene at the restaurant where it like showed her looking through one eye and the other was actually kind of cool.
Yeah. So let's rate this movie. Let's give the people our rating.
So
being that this is a freshly released film, I think we'll forego using our last rating. Would host a viewing party.
I guess you could like switch it to like would go see it again in theaters with the homies.
Let's use that. So what do you give Brightburn, Sean?
I would never see it again.
Really?
I would.
Not even if it were on television, you would just skip it?
No, I don't like jump scares. And this film to me was just like an inverse of, they just took everything about Superman, just flipped it. And to me, that's not really inventive. It didn't really add anything to me. I didn't learn anything about the character. There was no themes. There was no good guys. I mean, no one really had an arc except the main character. And the only good guy that we, talked about off air was the sheriff. He dies.
Yeah, he gets obliterated like he was ran through a fruit ninja or something.
Yeah, he was. I mean, the death scenes were cool. If you like I guess gruesome, if you want to wait 2 hours for a payoff of each character's death. But I mean, just that's what YouTube's for. So YouTube the deaths if you want the most interesting moments of this film. But everything else is boring. So I would never see this again.
Well, I, for one, would be interested to see if the filmmakers continue on down this road with the evil superheroes and then maybe introducing a do-gooder who's going to fight all of these characters. I would like to see them expand the universe.
I would see that universe if it wasn't, if there were no jump scares, I'd see it.
And we discussed this. I think this movie would have been a lot better if it had leaned hard into the horror element.
That would be more fascinating. Because there were moments when he's tearing up the house, you have the black, lit up corridor scenes where it's like, ooh, this is super creepy, or like, you know, the typical looking out the window, he's there, looking back, he's not, he's right behind you. Like, if they would have done all that more so, where it was creepy, I think maybe focusing in on like how much of a sociopath he is, that would have been dope.
If it had been a slow burn, like crossing Superman with Ted Bundy, I think that may have been a bit more interesting. But
I mean, some of the best scenes were like when they're like, hey, your uncle's dead, and he's like, okay, I feel like you want me to cry or something. I'm like, that's actually stuff that I'm looking for in this film. Why don't you guys go more on that?
But it just devolves into a trope fest.
It's all tropes.
So I think I'm with you on this. I think I would call this a wouldn't watch.
No.
But it depends on what they do in the future.
Yeah. I mean, if you like tropes and like your basic jump thrills, then yeah, go check it out. Yeah. But because the superhero stuff is kind of cool. Watching him terrorize. Finally, when he finally starts becoming the villain and like terrorizing the house, the end credit scenes, it's really cool. But it just takes so long to get there. You're like, by the time he does get there, it's like, finally, but I don't care. I just want them all to die.
Well, I think we unpacked Brightburn for today. I think that about wraps it up on this bite-sized version of the Force Fed Sci-Fi podcast. Please tune in later in the week for when we release Attack the Block.
Yeah.
And if you enjoyed the show, please go to iTunes and leave us a 5-star review or an honest review. It helps to drive us up the charts as well as help people like you find the show. We are across the spectrum of social media with Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all at Force Fed Sci-Fi. You can check out and download episodes at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, or wherever you find podcasts. And please subscribe so you never miss an episode. And finally, you can check out our website, forcefedscifi.com, for show notes and links to all of our social media. So for myself and Sean Culp, we will see you next time. Force Fed Sci-Fi is written and hosted by Sean Culp and Chris Rupp. Website design, associate producer, and editing by Jeremy Keski. Artwork designed by Mike Berger. Theme music composed and performed by Custom Anthem.